Have you been diagnosed with SIBO recently, but nothing you've done to get rid of it is working? Or have you had SIBO tests and retests, but you keep getting it again? Or do you not even have a positive SIBO test, but you're suspicious that you may have it, and you're wondering how to test for it and what are common signs of SIBO? If you said yes to any of these questions, then this episode is for you. Continuing on with week 3 of our 7 pathogen series, today I'm going to be going over what SIBO is, common SIBO symptoms, less common symptoms talked about for SIBO, how to get SIBO testing, when and why SIBO testing fails, why SIBO treatments fail in general, and then what natural treatments for SIBO you can do instead that will work. I'm going to debunk today every single myth that I can think of because the number one reason that clients who work with me aren't feeling better after a pathogen protocol is because of all the little things that can go wrong and be missed from the practitioner or DIY protocol that you found. But these things don't have to go wrong. In part 3 of the series, I'm going to point you to the fastest way to heal from SIBO because no pathogen needs to be ruling your life. It's time to feel your best, have energy, and get back to your life. It's time to kill some SIBO. Hey friend, welcome to the Better Belly Podcast. If you're currently trying endless supplements, doctor visits, and diet changes to heal your mystery symptoms, you are in the right place. We're here to solve the real root causes behind your gut, hormones, skin, sleep, and brain concerns. Literally anything and everything in your body. My name is Allison Jordan. I'm a functional medicine practitioner that has supported over 150 clients just like you to heal problems that no one has been able to fix. You don't need a perfect diet or a random supplement you found on Instagram to heal. You need a proven system that heals your whole body from the inside out. That's what I'm here to share with you, episode by episode. It's time to make health easy again. And just as a reminder, this information is not meant to diagnose, manage, or treat disease. Always consult with your own health practitioner before you make any changes to your health. All right, we are on to week 3 of our 7 pathogen series. These 7 pathogens are the 7 pathogens that I find are plaguing my clients every single time they come to me when they have issues. And interestingly enough, they usually don't have one of these 7. They're having at least 2, if not 3 or 4. I know that might sound crazy if you're not used to thinking in a layered way, but pathogens like to come together. And once you have one, usually your immune system is shot enough that you are more susceptible to hanging on and being a great host for even more. So today we're going to be talking about SIBO. And SIBO is something that is very near and dear to my heart because we get really great results with it in my practice. I've been in 6 years of practice, worked with over 600 clients. Any client of ours who's come in with a positive SIBO breath test, retests, symptoms where they knew they had SIBO with a previous practitioner and they don't have a positive retest, but they feel like they're getting all the same symptoms again. We get such great results with getting that person completely rid of SIBO, not having to use antibiotics to do it, not having to be on a super restricted diet like the low FODMAP or elemental or anything else like that, and just going back to living a normal life and it not coming back. I actually had a whole podcast episode called Why SIBO Has a 50% Recurrence Rate, or the 2 reasons why SIBO has a 50% recurrence rate. And I made that way back in, I think like 2 years ago. And this is just going to be an updated version of that. So I'll link to that if you want to hear that. But unfortunately, yes, there's a 50% recurrence rate in SIBO, meaning 1 out of 2 people who have SIBO and go through a treatment plan for it are going to get it again at some point. And I'd say most people that I talk to when they re-get it, it's flaring back up either immediately as soon as they're done with their treatment plan, whatever that plan was, diet, antibiotics, supplements, whatever it was, they feel like all their symptoms come back as soon as they stop those things, or months to like at max a year. If it hasn't come back in a year, I find that it's usually not coming back for my clients. So basically, if your treatment failed, you're going to know within the first 12 months after finishing it. So what are some signs and symptoms of SIBO? What are reasons that you might think you have SIBO, or what are reasons that your practitioner might think you have SIBO? So bloating is going to be one of them. Again, it's not unique. There are other things that can cause bloating. For example, candida, which was the episode previous to this one, can cause a lot of bloating. And just side note, candida and SIBO are super similar in terms of what causes them, why they're so prevalent, why they're so hard to get rid of. Even the treatments that fail, like a candida diet, very frequently fails people, and it's just super annoying to have to be on to minimize your symptoms but not actually heal yourself from candida. But SIBO and candida both are issues of basically microbes in your gut overfeeding on food that's not moving through it fast enough, and so you're going to get all this bloating. Gas, which for SIBO in particular, we're going to think very smelly often. I'd say there's different types of smelling gas, but the most common one that I hear people describe is like smells like rotten eggs, smells like cow manure, smells like sewage. Very smelly gas, and then large quantities. So just having lots and lots of gas that you don't want to have. Abdominal pain, maybe from that bloating, from cramping. Malnutrition symptoms, which is going to be things like fatigue, brain fog, low energy, difficulty building muscle, difficulty either gaining weight or losing weight, because being malnourished with your micronutrients can cause you to either hold on to weight or lose it. Constipation and or diarrhea. I totally see both with SIBO. And then lots of increasing food sensitivities. You'll just find that fewer and fewer foods that you eat, you feel good eating. And you might even get testing done that's showing that you have more and more numbers of foods that you're sensitive to. And that's because of how whole food testing works and leaky gut. And it's just a total hairy mess. And so I am going to get into, if you're just like, what the heck do I eat, Allison? I am going to share at the end of this podcast episode my food recommendations for SIBO, and also recommendations I don't make, like what I don't think is going to be helpful for you. So if you are very interested in the food aspect of SIBO, I will get to that. Then there's some less common discussed symptoms of SIBO. So these are things that are not directly in the gut, because SIBO hangs out in the gut, hangs out in the small intestines, but it can actually impact the rest of the body. So you're going to get issues like systemic inflammation. That's not a diagnosis, it's a description of how you get inflammatory markers that get absorbed through the gut lining because of the infection, and then get into the bloodstream and now travel to the rest of the body. So now you can have symptoms in every other part of your body that is because of the SIBO. So we're thinking about thyroid issues, autoimmune issues, chronic pain, like joint and muscle pain, fibromyalgia, headaches and migraines, skin issues. I talk a lot about the gut-skin connection in episode 45 of the Better Belly podcast, which I linked in the show notes. Acid reflux issues. This is because it's like a dual thing. The same slow gut motility, meaning slow movement of the gut, like muscular movement of the gut, that it's slowed down. That same slow gut motility that can cause SIBO will also set you up for issues with acid reflux, basically your stomach not receiving or holding on to contents very well from food or pushing it on to the next stage. So it's going to set you up for that food and stomach acid to come in the reverse direction, which is what we don't want. And that's when you get acid reflux. The other thing that can set you up for acid reflux with SIBO is that there's so much gas production from that bacteria that it can make you're getting all this additional pressure up into, not just outward, out into your belly or your pelvis, but upward into the diaphragm. So it can make it hard to breathe. It can make it feel difficult to exercise. There can be a lot of pain in the upper rib cage or even upper shoulders, upper neck. So a lot of neck issues, neck pain can actually be because of SIBO and how it's impacting the torso through this significantly higher pressure system than a belly is designed to have. But the other issue is that the esophagus comes and meets the stomach right at the junction of the diaphragm. So if there's a lot of pressure being pushed up onto the diaphragm, it's impacting the stomach and esophagus, and that can make it hard for the stomach to basically control the acid inside of it, and for the gastroesophageal sphincter, which is the little muscular clamp or sphincter that is supposed to keep stomach acid in the stomach, that will stop working as well. So those are things, I would call those maybe more comorbidities that someone with SIBO will also come in and say, and I get these rashes, or I get really bad acne, or I'm super tired, or I also have fibromyalgia, or I get headaches, multiple times a week or day, or I've got thyroid issues, I've got autoimmune issues, and some of these are causing or enabling your SIBO, and some of them are a result of the SIBO. It's just this crazy, hairy mess. When someone initially comes in, they just feel like their body is falling apart, and none of the treatments have worked, and there's some mild amounts of panic. I'm not laughing at the panic. It's just like, it makes sense. If you have SIBO, so many other dominoes are falling down. And I'm actually about to describe, SIBO is not the main issue. SIBO is a result of issues. It's not a root cause, essentially. SIBO is not a root cause. It is a result of other root causes, and that's another reason why you can have just mass chaos. By the time you get to the point of having SIBO, where bacteria is in your small intestine where it shouldn't be, you have other issues that are then going to cause other problems in the body. And a round of antibiotics doesn't fix all those things. So I'm getting ahead of myself though. So what is SIBO? Is it a bacteria? Is it a virus? Is it a yeast? So Candida is a yeast, for example, but SIBO is bacteria. And it's actually typically bacteria that is healthy, like it's your normal bacteria that is going to grow in your body. But instead of it hanging out in your large intestine, where the majority of the high quantity bacteria is in your body, it has basically backwashed itself from the large intestine into the small intestine. And there's not a lot of control in the small intestine for that much bacteria. And so it just keeps proliferating, overeating, overdigesting on the food that's there, creating lots of gas and side effects. And it's just not super fun. So the small intestines have significantly less bacteria compared to the large intestine. And we're going to get into a little bit more here. So let's talk about, why do you get SIBO? This is the most important question, and it's a poorly answered, frequently unasked question that impacts the efficacy of your treatment plan. Because SIBO is not something that you catch, like you can catch a parasite that you got exposed to. And anyone who has a parasite, like I literally was emailing with someone this week about, they have blastocystis hominis, which is actually the parasite I had when I was having all my gut issues that no doctor could find. Thank you, but no thank you. He knows he has it, and he had somebody tell him, it's not an issue. We're going to talk about parasites next week, guys. So if you want to know about parasites, hang around, subscribe. I'm going to be talking about it next week. But a parasite you can kill, and it's not going to come back unless you go back to a source where a parasite's in it. It could be, bad hygiene, dirty water, contaminated food, whatever the issue is, it has to be that. But SIBO is self-created. Actually, same with Candida. We all have Candida in us. So if you want to know more, if you're just like fascinated by this stuff, go and listen to the Candida episode right before this one. And you're going to hear so many similarities between the causes of SIBO and Candida. So SIBO cannot be resolved with antibiotics or just oregano and natural herbal supplements that will kill and wean down bacteria. Those will improve your symptoms, but ultimately you can self-manufacture SIBO again if you don't get to the root causes. And that's what's happening to 50% of people with SIBO. That's a huge number, and just a shame on the health community. Sorry, shame on us. So here are the 5 things that I always look at, and I will always test and treat on every single person. I'll treat it if the test shows positive for them. But number 1 is you're going to have weak peristalsis. Peristalsis is the fancy term, scientific term for the muscular movement of the gut, pushing food through it. You can also call this motility. So it just means you're not moving food from the esophagus down to the colon to poop it out fast enough. So it's slow. And then you get this, again, overeating, overdigestion of food. Now, the question with weak peristalsis, even that's not a root cause, right? It's just an explanation of saying, okay, you have weak peristalsis. Man, the number of times I just want to bang my head against a wall because someone says, my doctor says I have slow gut motility and that's why I have constipation. That's why I have SIBO. That's why I have candida. I'm like, well, great. I'm glad that they talk to you about that. But then they'll say, and then they just prescribed me Senna, or they prescribed me a laxative, or they prescribed me a gut motility blend, maybe if they're a naturopath. And it sort of worked, but it didn't work. And you're looking, they're setting you up to think incorrectly about how you fix motility. You don't have slow motility because you are deficient in senna, or you're deficient in marshmallow root, or you're deficient in aloe vera, which are just like 3 examples of herbal solutions inside of a gut motility blend. You have weak peristalsis because of a list of possibilities. So you need to have someone who's thinking about and helping you test and look for all of these things. One is visceral adhesions. These are literally where inside, so your viscera, that's gut, your fascia around your organs gets sticky, and it might stick to another organ, it might stick to a rib cage, it might stick to other thick pieces of fascia, and it can't rotate and move the way it needs to. This restriction can be caused by accidents, like rear ending. It can be caused by surgery. It can be caused by falling off a horse. It can be caused by falling out of a tree. It can be caused by pregnancy. It can be caused by the delivery component of pregnancy. It can be caused by infection. This could be stomach flu. This could be meningitis. This could be everything from the most mild to the most severe things, that, like, mild being like, everyone's like, I got the stomach flu, it sucked, but you get rid of it. And meningitis, you're like, that sounds like a big deal. But these are all things that can cause visceral adhesions. And none of us go through life without getting visceral adhesions. Many people actually even come out of the womb, like literally newborn baby, with adhesions, just because being in the womb is a cramped space. And also the birthing process is not, even if it was smooth, sometimes really fast birthing processes can actually cause adhesions. Even if the mom's like, wow, that was the easiest thing for me ever, it doesn't mean that it was super easy on baby. And that's nothing against the mom. Baby got out. That's the most important thing. But just consider some of your issues that you might be dealing with, you might have developed before you had memories. And it's something that your body simply developed and merged into, and you don't think of it this way. So visceral adhesions, big one. Not everyone's going to have it. Not everyone, that's going to be a primary thing, but I always look for it in clients. I'm going to tell you how to look for it in a second. Stress and high sympathetic tone, meaning stress could be psychological stress. It could be biochemical stress. So like a parasite or high blood sugar, low blood sugar, all that can increase cortisol in the body, and that will slow down the gut motility. Our body under stress, under high stress hormones and high sympathetic tone, which is the vagus nerve and the nervous system, like fight and flight response, it slows down the gut. And if you get kind of stuck in that state, you've been in it a long time, and that could be because of your job, it could be because of family, your health, pain that you've been chronically in, that can slow it down. It's totally fixable. We don't have to fix your job or anything, but that could be a potential origin. And again, it's usually not the only one. Big thing is, you're listening to me share these things. I've never seen someone with SIBO who has only one of these issues. Any of the issues I'm about to list, right? So it's going to be 2, 3, 5, 10. I know 10 sounds dramatic, but it's super fixable if you just go boom, 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 and you wipe through them. That's what I actually teach my clients how to do inside of my gut healer system, which I teach in the Better Belly Blueprint, my signature process that I've created over the last 6 years to help my clients go and heal their body, know what testing they need, get access to it, do it, create a customized health plan, work the plan, and get results in 3 to 6 months. And some of my clients, I mean, they're getting results faster than 3 months, but they're getting significant or full resolution in 3 to 6 months, which is just absurd if you've been sick for a long time. I mean, absurd in terms of like happy. So history of PPI usage. So proton pump inhibitors, lower stomach acid. This will also weaken and reduce peristalsis, and problems with liver congestion, which will result in lower bile content. And that will also be a component of weak peristalsis. I would recommend, if you want to learn more about the liver, go to episode 118 titled Liver. And it will, which I linked in the show notes. You'll learn more about what is liver congestion, what are signs that you have it, how do you get rid of it. I do have a liver protocol you can get just by going to betterbellytherapy.com/liver and clicking the link in the show notes. But also, if you join my program, the Better Belly Blueprint, you just get the liver protocol as like one of the steps you're going to go through anyways. So totally up to you if you want to do that, but just a heads up. So the last thing with weak peristalsis that can cause it is going to be nutrient deficiencies, especially zinc, sodium, and potassium. All three of these have roles. Zinc has a big role in making stomach acid, and sodium, potassium are electrolytes, and they have roles in helping muscles contract. And most of my clients who've been sick for a while are depleted in sodium and potassium for a variety of reasons. And so we really need to bump that up as one of the steps in getting rid of SIBO. It's not the only step. It's not like the fix-it-all. Allison said, go eat more sodium and potassium. It'll fix SIBO. It's not quite how it works. I wish if that was it, I just like create like a Facebook post, just static image. Here's how you fix SIBO. It'd be great. I'd fix a world problem. So number 2 is going to be having low digestive enzymes. Weak peristalsis plus low digestive enzymes, you are now going to overgrow anything in your gut, candida and bacteria. So what's going to cause low digestive enzymes, or what are symptoms and signs of it? History of PPI usage. If you have bloating and indigestion, that's a big sign that you have low digestive enzymes. Low digestive enzymes, by the way, they're stomach acid, bile, and pancreatic enzymes. Acid reflux is a sign of low digestive enzyme. History of birth control usage, particularly the pill. So not just like implants or IUDs, but the pill thickens bile and very commonly leads women to needing gallbladder removal or having gallstones. There's actually a lot of research on this, which is just absurd that it's not being shared. But if you have a history of birth control usage, the longer you used it, the more likely you are to have thick bile and reduced bile, which is low digestive enzymes. If you have straight up gallbladder removal, that's going to set you up for low digestive enzymes, specifically bile. By the way, I've had lots of clients have no gallbladders and perfectly heal from SIBO. So this is not a life sentence like, oh no, I got my gallbladder out, I'll never be rid of SIBO. Nope. As soon as this 7 pathogen series is done, I'm having a gallbladder episode. So if you like or are interested in gallbladder, gallstones, getting your gallbladder removed, if it's been suggested to you or you've had it done and all that, I'm just going to cover it all. And then next, if you want to know, do I potentially have low digestive enzymes? You can actually go check your blood work. There's a lot of markers that are signs of low stomach acid or low bile. So one of them is going to be low alkaline phosphatase. This is specifically going to be below 70. 70 is the functional lab range lowest point you want alkaline phosphatase. Alkaline phosphatase is made of zinc, and when you have low zinc, alkaline phosphatase is going to drop. Low or high calcium, because we need stomach acid to absorb calcium. And so if it's low or high in the bloodstream, it means you're not absorbing it correctly. And so it's either not absorbing at all and you're not even getting it in the bloodstream, or it's not bioavailable for your cells and it's just hanging out and building up in the bloodstream. Low sodium and potassium is a sign of setting you up for low stomach acid, because actually you do need sodium in particular also for stomach acid, but zinc deficiency is the primary cause I find, not sodium. Low iron is just a sign. So this is iron, serum, or ferritin, because we need high stomach acid to absorb iron. So if you're chronically anemic, struggle with getting your iron up, it could be that you have low stomach acid. And then high or low ALT, which is a liver enzyme, it's a sign of dysfunction inside the liver. Often there's thickening of bile. Now, when I say high or low for any of these things, I am referring to functional lab ranges. Functional lab ranges are smaller and more specific, and they refer to healthy individuals. Standard lab ranges, which is what you'll find next to all of your blood work results when you go to a doctor, even a naturopathic doctor, because they like the labs we get are labs like the blood work from. There's no like functional blood work lab. You have to put the lab numbers into a functional lab range. You either have to memorize them, which some, functional doctors do. And that's why they'll just look at your blood work and say, this is high, this is low, even if it doesn't say it's high or low on the page. But what I did is I created a spreadsheet that I just put the numbers into, and it automatically turns your result blue for low, red for high, green for normal, and then it'll give you a list. It'll auto-populate a list of common causes and correlations with that marker being high or low. And so it's basically doing like a doctor level analysis of your blood work. If you want that, you can go to betterbellytherapies.com/blood, and I am sharing it with you to use. You can buy it there. And if you want to learn more about functional lab ranges themselves, as in you're like, wait, Allison, I still don't think I fully understand a functional lab range. Why does that matter? Why should I care about it? You can just go to episode 66, 6 reasons your doctor is reading your blood labs wrong, plus how you can do it better. And that episode is, I also linked in the show notes. So those are signs of low digestive enzymes. Now, I have never had someone come to me with SIBO without low digestive enzymes. So that's a imperative. Number 3 is history of antibiotic use. So that could be for SIBO itself. Oddly enough, the treatment for SIBO and sets you up for SIBO. That sucks. For H. pylori, for sinus infections, for UTIs, any type of antibiotic use for pneumonia. Yes, we want you to be able to get rid of those things so they stop causing really major bad damage, but especially if you've needed frequent antibiotics, say 1 time a year for any of these issues, this is a sign of bigger things that are present in your body, and they're going to set you up for SIBO. So sinus infections, if you want to learn more about the gut sinus connection, go to episode 47 or check the link in the show notes. And I have a whole episode on UTIs, episode 105 called Clear Your UTIs and Interstitial Cystitis. And I talk more about why you might be needing antibiotics for these so frequently and how to actually heal it so you stop getting these 1 time a year or more infections that you need antibiotics for. Next big thing, this is huge. This is also, if someone has SIBO, they hands down have this issue, which is other pathogens. Other pathogens set you up for SIBO. People don't just get SIBO. If you have a healthy immune system, your immune system should be gardening and pruning all the extra candida overgrowth and bacterial overgrowth and keeping your garden of your microbiome beautiful. But if you have other pathogens, your immune system gets weakened and usually is already, for that pathogen to just hang around and be prominent, your immune system already was weak. That's its own thing. And so the other pathogens that I'm looking for, particularly with SIBO, it's going to be H. pylori, which if you want to learn more about that one, go check out what episodes, it's like 2 or 3 from here. It's the very first one I did. It's called the H. pylori episode. H. pylori lowers your stomach acid levels, and that is one of the issues that can cause low digestive enzymes. And I can't really think of the last time a SIBO client came to me, like they know they have SIBO, and they said, here's all my testing, and my provider checked for H. pylori, just like they don't check. Or they do, and it's unfortunately a really bad test, meaning it's a test from a conventional hospital. It should be the GI map, and unfortunately, Genova Diagnostics does not cut it. I've seen this. It's just really sad that that's not a good test for H. pylori, but even though it's a functional lab test, should be the GI map. You should, if you have any H. pylori on there and you have SIBO, you need to deal with it. But this is not checked with SIBO clients. And so if you still have H. pylori and you finish your antibiotics or supplements or SIBO diet and you finish it, then that H. pylori, you still have low stomach acid, your SIBO is going to come back. Parasites can lock up the gut, cause constipation, which more easily leads to SIBO. And then mold is the other really big thing going on when it comes to getting SIBO. It's really big. I'd say it's H. pylori and mold are the two that I'm like, do you have this if you have SIBO? So if you want to learn more about mold, or you're like, what do you mean mold? It's in my gut. If that's a really new concept to you, I have a whole series that just quickly takes you through a bunch of high level topics and concepts for mold so you can really quickly understand it. The first episode in that series is episode 220, 100 symptoms of mold exposure and toxic mold. How many do you have? So that one, if you want to learn more about mold, highly recommend going and checking out that episode. All right. So that's other pathogens is number 4. And number 5, the fifth thing that I see causing SIBO as the root cause. And again, none of these are on their own. None of these are on their own. You're going to have low digestive enzymes and other pathogens, and maybe a history of antibiotic use and weak peristalsis of some sort. The next one, it's like a toss-up if someone has this issue, but some type of oral disease. And this is because we swallow spit all day, every day. And it's like I learned it once in a class of how much spit we swallow in a day. It's something like a liter. You could probably Google it, just like how much spit do I swallow in a day? It's a lot. And if every time you swallow, there's infectious bacteria in it, it is seeding your gut with that bacteria. And so, but most people are like, well, I don't have I don't have an infection. That's why I go to the dentist and they get rid of my cavities and they give me crowns and bridges. Unfortunately, this is not true. And there are issues with things called cavitations, which is actually the bone is dead or dying and infected underneath the tooth. And infections, these are commonly under crowns and bridges. They can also be under cavity fillings if the cavity filling was done too deeply and weakened the tooth. I have had clients with cavitations and infections in their jaws that they found a biological dentist, which is what you want to find. They'll do a scan of the teeth. I don't know what type of scan it is. I don't know if it's like a heat scan or whatever, but it's interesting. I've actually seen the results and it'll show this like red hot spot where if there is a cavitation or infection. And that area is going to cause issues in the rest of your body. Now, I've had clients with these cavitations, infections that have no issues in their mouth. They have no teeth that bother them. They have no TMJ. They have no headaches, migraines, bad breath, white coating on their tongue, but they will have SIBO, or they'll have acid reflux, or they'll have reduced immunity, like they frequently get sick. But I also have clients, like I'm thinking of one in particular, who struggled with her health her whole life, and we've helped her there's only one other practitioner who's helped her probably as much as we have. I don't say that to I'm just like a visual of this person who's been sick her whole life, and we've helped her, but we kept hitting this wall of getting better. And we're like, why don't we go check your teeth? And she actually was this person who said, I always had these teeth that bothered me, and it was the teeth that she'd gotten crowns in or bridges, and she would talk to her doctor and her doctor would just check it and be like, no, it looks fine. It's fine. Well, she finally gets to a biological dentist and they're like, this is a roaring issue. And she gets it taken out. She had to get it cleaned out. There was mercury that was actually stuck in that area from a previous filling. They had to do lots of special treatment and training before, and letting the area heal for months before they could then do an implant. So I'm not a dentist over here. I just know what she did. And this dramatically improved. It was like her health. It was like she could suddenly eat all these foods that she couldn't eat before. Her GI pain went way down. Her sleep was better. She got headaches less frequently. So, I get some clients where they don't really have too many oral symptoms around the head and mouth. But then I have other clients that are like, yeah, that's me. I know I've got issues. So if you want to know more about this, one of my favorite Instagram accounts to follow and learn more about biological dentistry and functional dentistry is restoration.dentistry. And I put it in the show notes, just a link to their Instagram account. I find that he's one of the best places to get education on crowns, bridges, cavities, and then also he teaches a lot about the healthy alternative to crowns and bridges, which is called biomimetic onlay. It's fascinating, and he talks about who he learned it from and links to other accounts. So I think it's a really good starting point if you're like, oh my gosh, I am one of those teeth people. I will say in our program, we cannot help you with your teeth. Like, we're not going to touch your teeth, but I will encourage you to find a biological dentist, and all the protocols that we do in the program are complementary to things that are supportive to your gut microbiome, your oral microbiome, as you are getting your teeth and your oral health really aligned. So that is the last thing. Those are the 5 things: weak peristalsis, low digestive enzymes, history of antibiotic use, other pathogens, and oral disease. And most of people are going to have 3 out of the 5 minimum. So just some additional information. What's the percentage of population in America that have SIBO? It's literally a mystery. I found so many articles that are like, we have no idea. It's just not studied a lot. People are starting to do more testing, but we haven't been getting big research. You have to do huge swaths of population research to have an idea of what's going on, but it's an estimate between 2.5% of the population and 22%. That's a pretty big range. Other interesting things is that I did find an article that says optimal treatment regimens remain elusive. And it's like, yeah, you got that right, because the causes of SIBO is different for every person. Yeah, right? Some people have got visceral adhesions around their cecum, some have visceral adhesions around their stomach, some have visceral adhesions around their diaphragm, some have visceral adhesions around the pelvic floor, some have no visceral adhesions. You have to be working with a team of people, and especially for us, we try to be kind of the guide of the overall process to be like, do you even need to go get a visceral manipulation practitioner, etc. That's what we do in our program. We give you personal guidance so you can have that customized health plan of here's step 1, step 2, step 3, and you get it done and you get resolution, and you could just stop being sick. Just move on with your life. So reasons a doctor would try to test you for SIBO, usually like severe bloating, bad gas. It's just kind of popular right now. Same with candida testing. I wish H. pylori was more popular. I wish parasite, was more popular, but right now SIBO is just super popular. I don't know what's going on. In general, they'll do SIBO treatment because it makes them look smart, or a SIBO test because they can. You can hear I'm a little salty here. I don't really know why people do testing for SIBO, because I am actually someone who doesn't ever test for SIBO, right? Here's why, right? So I find that because I just went through the fact that SIBO is a result of issues, it's not a root cause, I'd rather take your time and money getting the labs that are going to show you the root causes. At the end of the day, I don't care if you had SIBO, because I'm never going to give you something like antibiotics that are SIBO specific, or it doesn't change the type of herbal supplements that I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you herbal supplements to kill H. pylori or to kill mold. I'm going to get you out of your moldy environment. We're going to help your body rebuild its own ability to create digestive enzymes. We're going to help you get rid of visceral adhesions through visceral stretches you can do at home, and or going to see a visceral manipulation practitioner. We're going to help you figure out, do you have a teeth issue, an oral issue that is contributing to your SIBO? When you fix all of that, it doesn't matter, like, your symptoms go away. That is the test I'm looking for. Do your symptoms get better? There's nothing, if I know you have positive SIBO, there is nothing that I change. It hasn't changed anything that I do. So I have very strong feelings about SIBO testing. Unfortunately, I'd say I have SIBO on my mind, and I have created the entire gut healer system is designed to get rid of SIBO, even if there's no SIBO specific protocol, because the whole program, the whole process is a SIBO protocol, essentially. So I'd say what is bad is if you have a practitioner who's not thinking about those root causes and not thinking about SIBO, and they're just having you do like food sensitivity tests, and I think you're just sensitive to foods. They're just thinking so shallow and superficially. That would be a bad sign. You do want someone who's thinking deeply about your gut, but also you don't actually, I'm honestly believe you don't need SIBO testing. You need the testing that'll show if you have H. pylori or mold, etc. So what test should you be doing to learn about these information? So organic acids test is going to tell you about mold, candida, and bacterial overgrowth, not specific to SIBO, but it will just show if there's a high amount of bacterial overgrowth. That can often, if that's high, to me, I'm like, that's a good enough for SIBO. It's not a SIBO test, but to me, I'm like, okay, if it's high, yeah, you have a higher likelihood of having SIBO, but at the end of the day, I still don't care. We do want to do a GI map by Diagnostic Solutions to check for H. pylori, check for parasites. You can actually get a window into how well you're digesting pancreatic enzymes. Is there any fat in your stool? We get a look into your gut immune system health. And then lastly, visceral adhesions evaluation. So I have 3 self-evaluation tests that I have you do on yourself in the program. You can just do them at home following the videos that I have. And if those are positive, then I often recommend you get checked by a visceral manipulation practitioner near you. I've had some clients get full resolution of their visceral adhesions just doing the visceral stretches that are in the program. But I'd say the majority of our clients need at least 1 to 2 minimum visceral manipulation sessions to get visceral adhesion resolution. And I'm one of those people. I've had so many visceral manipulation appointments, but I'd say probably my first 5 to 10 that I had actually with different people over a period of time were probably the most impactful, just like life-changing. So again, I don't do a whole SIBO protocol in my program. Like you do these 3 tests, OAT, GI map, visceral adhesions, and we work on your nutrients. So we get a window into what your nutrient status is like by doing the HTMA test. So HTMA test is also super relevant, and you get access to all these labs, how to analyze them, the protocols to do based off of your specific lab results in my program, the Better Belly Blueprint. You can learn a lot more about how this program works, how much it costs, what the tests are, how the whole thing functions at betterbellytherapies.com/training. I also go over like why it works when other things haven't, if this episode didn't already clear that up for you. So all the other, like a sign of a good protocol for SIBO, if you're like, how do I know, Allison, if I'm being given a good SIBO protocol, is you want to see an H. pylori protocol and testing in it. You want to see that they're fixing your body's ability to create its own stomach acid. You want visceral manipulation or some type of fascial evaluation, not just musculoskeletal. So musculoskeletal is going to be PTs and chiropractors. Now, some PTs and chiropractors are more aware of fascia, but it's kind of hit and miss. And so I really like visceral manipulation practitioners because they are the best fascia people for visceral adhesions. Now, I actually have a tool to find a visceral manipulation practitioner near you. Go to betterbellytherapies.com/find, and you can find someone near you. But if you even want to know, do I even need to take the time to go and do that? Inside my program, I've got that 3 self-assessment tests you can do, which literally has you do things like move your body around in different positions, and you'll actually be able to see where you can't move that are signs of visceral restrictions. It's pretty cool. You need to see these other pathogen protocols. So H. pylori or mold, candida, you want them to be looking at mineral and nutrient replenishment and ideally some testing behind that. I like the HTMA. If they're really fancy, they might do micronutrient testing. It's much more expensive and I think unnecessary than the HTMA. But yeah, you want somebody checking you for mold for sure and talking to you and making sure, seeing if you have a history of crowns or dental problems, any type of dental work where you might be set up for cavitations or infections underneath your tooth. Again, without it like the tooth falling out or looking problematic. That can happen. So signs of a bad protocol: if somebody is about to give you antibiotics and that's it, they're like, here's some antibiotics. They'll talk it up. They'll be like, these are the best antibiotics out there for SIBO. These are totally new. These are new to the market. They've had really good results. It's like, yeah, but you still aren't fixing my stomach acid, peristalsis, or other pathogens in the body. Don't let them give you probiotics. It usually makes you feel worse. Run away. No other pathogens are tested for is a big hint that this is a bad protocol. No digestive enzyme repair, not digestive enzyme supplement. That doesn't fix your ability to digest. It just augments that temporarily with those things. And usually it's digestive enzyme supplements. They are just a fraction of the amount of digestive enzyme product your body would otherwise make on its own. So it's never going to be enough. Think like never enough, never, never. All right, I'm singing on the podcast again. So if they don't have any mineral replenishment for nutrients and for getting peristalsis, no fascial evaluation, no mold consideration, no oral health consideration, all signs of bad protocols that won't work. All right, here's the thing on food. Some of you maybe just waited the entire episode for this, but food I put here last because it doesn't heal SIBO. It just manages the symptoms, right? Food is not causing your SIBO. SIBO is feeding on the food you eat. If you change the food you eat, you can kind of like pull a lever and starve the SIBO, but it doesn't actually get rid of it because as soon as you shift what you're eating again, it will grow back because if the peristalsis dysfunction is still there and the low stomach acid is still there and the H. pylori or parasite or mold or dental crown infection, cavitation that's you're swallowing your spit into every day, every moment of the day, if that's all still there, you're just going to repopulate your SIBO. You're going to be a self-producing factory. So food, it can be a way you can reduce symptoms. If it's making your life more manageable, do it. That's what I tell clients when they come into the program. They're like, do I stop this diet I'm on? I'm like, if it's making your life just better, like you can just get through to the end of the day with less pain, you can focus better, you can get what you need done, keep doing it. But if it's just a pain, it's like a really annoying diet and it's not even yielding you that much relief, I usually say just like stop it. The unfortunate part is, I can't give you a special diet that's you'll feel good on. What I can do is give you the steps you need to do so that you can start digesting food well, and then you'll start to feel good on those foods again. Now, I do have a food sensitivity test that I recommend in my program that can clear up a lot of muddy water for people. It's called the Zoomer bundle. It's 5 Zoomers and then a free whole food sensitivity testing, which the whole point of it is that the Zoomers are permanent food sensitivities and the whole food sensitivity testing is temporary ones, meaning you'll heal from them and then you can reintroduce them. So this can create a lot of clarity around like what foods to eat, but it actually it can confuse people. I don't want to oversell it where you think, I just need the Zoomer test and all my symptoms will go away. No, unfortunately, if you still can't, even if you're not sensitive to a food on an immune level, if the SIBO is eating that food and creating their gas, right, whether it's methane or hydrogen, you are going to feel bad. So you need to fix the causes of the SIBO to feel better, and for that food to stop basically feeding your nemesis, which is the SIBO in the gut. So reasons that SIBO treatments fail is they didn't get to the root cause. They had maybe bad testing that showed false negatives for a pathogen like H. pylori or mold, or they didn't even do testing for that at all. Maybe they didn't test or evaluate for any abdominal adhesions or fascial restrictions around the organs, or they only gave you digestive enzymes. They didn't fix your body's natural ability to produce stomach acid or bile. And that's it. That's why they fail. So, if you're ready to get rid of SIBO, I would just recommend go to betterbellytherapies.com/training. You don't even have to watch the video. It has a lot of similar information from this episode on it, but you can watch the video if that makes it'll give a little bit more information on how the program works, like step 1, step 2, step 3, so you can be familiar with it. And then you can just join. There's no wait list. You can join right away and get started on the process. You don't have to finish the protocol you're on. You can come in and either join a group coaching call and get direct feedback on what to do in the protocol. But I'd say 95% of the time, it's probably higher than that, but I'm being generous. 95% of the time, I say, I'll look at someone's protocol and say, I don't think this is doing anything for you. And if I'm not sure, I'll just say, do you feel that this is reducing your symptoms? If so, you can use it as symptom management, but it is not going to heal you, right? So don't wait. Just it's kind of like, there's an economic term for this. Cut your losses. That's not it. But just talk about cutting your losses. Just like let it go. Forgive and bless and let go those things that you tried or the practitioners who were trying to help you and move forward. That's all I can, not because I'm trying to like steal you away from somebody else, but because I've seen so many people, you just feel like, well, I already spent so much money on this person or this protocol. I just want to finish it. And then they come back, 4 weeks later or 6 weeks later or 8 weeks, whenever they finish that protocol, and they don't feel better. And I'm like, if you had started it 2 months ago, you'd be further into this process and noticing some differences. So that's just my heart for you. You can do whatever you want. But if you wanted a little bit of personal advice on, can you start right away? What about your other protocols? Yeah, start right away. Don't wait. There's no reason to wait that I've ever seen. Other than maybe like you had abdominal surgery recently. Wait until you're healed, but you can always start now, because the first step in the when you join is getting the right testing. Because again, even though you've maybe feel like you've already gotten testing out the wazoo, I've never had a client who had all the testing that we already needed. And even if you did, you still need to just know that you have the right testing, which is the first part. So that testing takes 4 to 6 weeks to get your results from those tests. So join the program, let your body heal from that abdominal surgery. You can take your samples. You'll be waiting 4 to 6 weeks anyways to get the lab results. And then you can just start healing as soon, because you'll get your lab results and your body will be ready to go on protocols again from healing from that surgery. So, all right, that was just a unplanned but little nugget on can you start, when to start. Yes, start. All right, it was so fun hanging out with you. I hope this gave you insight and hope. If you are looking for more information, I gave you so many episodes this week. Definitely go check the show notes to remind yourself what we talked about, what other options of pieces of information are. But at the end of the day, you don't need more information from those episodes. You can get it all in just as easy as 1, 2, 3 steps in the Better Belly Blueprint. So go to betterbellytherapies.com/training and you can join now. Hey friend, I hope you loved this episode. If you've been a fan for a while or newly loving this podcast, can you do me a favor? Drop into Apple Podcasts and leave me a review. When you leave a review, you do so much. You help me know you're listening. You can tell me what you're loving so I know what to make more of. And you help others by boosting this podcast so other people like you can find the podcast too. I mean, it's a win-win-win, right? So if you want a way to pay it forward, just go to Apple Podcasts or click the link in my show notes and leave a rating and review. And if you want some more free stuff, just head over to my free Facebook group, betterbellytherapies.com/Facebook, and you can get access to all of my free support for you, including some Facebook group exclusive stuff like my podcast episode vault, where you can search the Better Belly podcast by topic and find exactly what you need to expedite your healing. I cannot wait to see you in there. Catch you guys next week.